Tomorrow is the NBA draft, and using SI.com's mock draft, 9 of the first 11 picks will be freshmen or sophomores. So I thought it would be fun to power rank the top 5 seasons of freshmen or redshirt freshmen seasons in all of college football. Most of these dudes probably could have went to the NFL straight away. In fact, like most of the dudes on my list had pretty solid careers in it. Yeah, all but one. Well, actually, yeah, all but one had pretty solid careers in the NFL. But the NCAA is a bunch of slave owners, and so you have to stay there for 2 years before you can go to the NFL. So I thought a nice hypothetical would be to rank them our version of a one and done. So Tom, you want to kick it off with your number 5?
Are we going? Whoa, so we're going
You're gonna
for
do
a one
number
and
5.
done?
Well, no,
just best freshman season.
Yeah. So give us your number 5.
Red shirt or regular?
Who you had at number 5?
Number 5. Let's see. Got to go with Macklin. Jeremy Macklin from Missouri.
Yeah, I didn't even recognize that. He had some stupid all-purpose yards.
I had to do some digging to remember that name, but it was basically just the overall he was a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, which is funny because I don't think he's been used like that since then in the NFL. He's just a receiver in the NFL.
Who's his QB? Blaine Gabbert?
Yeah, Missouri, 2009 or 10?
2009.
2009, that's Blaine Gabbert. Which I had no
I think it was after he got hurt though. He stopped being super all-purpose.
Yeah, because I mean, maybe he's returned punts and shit in the NFL. I can't ever think of Jeremy Macklin running the ball.
And wasn't he the first player to catch or the first receiver for the Chiefs to catch a touchdown in 3 years with Alex Smith?
Jesus. Yeah, I think he was the one that broke that streak. All right, I'll go next. My number 5. This one is a fucking real wild one. George Shaw. Okay, he was a DB for the Oregon Ducks in 1951. This is the only season he played a defense. Because the next 3 years he played quarterback, but his 1 year as a freshman he played defense. He had 13 interceptions in 10 games, and the team stunk. They went 2-8. So he had 13 picks in 10 games. Then he went to the NFL where he broke his leg. He was drafted by the Colts, broke his leg, and then was replaced by Johnny Unitas. So George Shaw, who would have known? 1950. Yeah.
I wouldn't have. My dad wasn't even alive yet. But
Yeah. All right, what's your number 5?
Mike Vick. Funny enough, Virginia Tech, 1999, finished 3rd in Heisman voting. Missed 2 games.
Yeah.
22 total touchdowns, almost 3,000 out yards, and he took Virginia Tech undefeated as a freshman, redshirt freshman, but still.
Yeah.
Did he cry though?
I don't know.
I have no idea who Virginia Tech's coach was in
Come on, man.
1999.
Frank Beamer.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Playing some Beamer ball.
Damn, imagine what Mike Vick could have done with a revolutionary offense.
Don't you dare shit on Frank Beamer. Frank Beamer's a legend.
But I mean, there's other quarterbacks we're gonna get to on this list, so I guess we'll address it then. But Michael Vick, if you could pluck Michael Vick from 1999 and put him in any college offense in 2019, and his stats would be absolutely absurd.
Well, that's why
he would have 60 total touchdowns.
That's why I went with him, just because for 1999, it's insane what he was doing.
Yeah.
Again, he had 700 rushing yards, 9 rushing touchdowns as a QB.
Which that normally your rushing numbers as a quarterback are better in college than the NFL, and those numbers are nothing for what he did in the NFL.
Yeah.
That was just a regular season in the NFL for Michael Vick was 700 rushing yards. So the fact that he could only do that in college says if you put him in Clemson's offense today, that dude has 2,000 rushing yards and 20. You know what I mean? He has.
Oh yeah, I'd love to see him.
Easily 6,000 total yards, 60 touchdowns.
Yeah, I kind of that's what I was looking at because again, you can find MAC QBs with better stats than him.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
bring back NCAA football and bring back the. What was the Road to Glory where we played as the Legends mode? Bring back Legends mode and give us almost Heisman so that way we can use Michael Vick because Michael Vick in today's like college football system would be just the most ridiculous stats you've ever seen.
All right, Tom, what's your number 4?
Number 4, I'm going with Adrian Peterson. Simply because of his consistency, except for towards the end of the season when they played USC. But he basically had 9 consecutive 100-yard games and was pretty much the go-to guy for a while.
I actually did put Adrian Peterson on my list just because his NFL career was so goddamn good that it kind of shadows the college career, which we'll get to one of my running backs later, but he didn't have as much of a pro career, so his college career stands out more. But yeah, I mean Adrian Peterson's he's easy to forget how good he was, just because the dude's a first ballot. He's probably easily top 5 best running backs of all time in the NFL, so it's hard to forget that he also was a stud in college. My number 4 was I didn't circle it. Go to Ryan. I gotta come back to me.
All right, I had Orlando Pace, left tackle, Ohio State, 1994. There was no stats on Orlando Pace's freshman year, but he was really fucking good. And he went on to actually finish 4th in the Heisman 2 years later.
Jesus.
And he got the nickname the Pancake Man because of so many pancake
Dude,
blocks.
you should be number 1.
So yeah, Orlando Pace. Again, my only note on him, he was really good.
Fair enough.
Yeah, there's just no stats for that guy.
You can't argue with Pancake, man. I mean, that's worthy of a top 5 in itself.
That and he was one of the best tackles in the NFL of all time. So.
All right, I'm gonna go number 4, Jameis Winston. I mean, it's just so clean cut, 4,000 passing yards, 40 touchdowns, 14-0, national championship. That's just his career at Florida State is something you only do on road to glory mode on NCAA football. It's 14-0, won the Heisman 1 year. It's just that's just an absurd redshirt freshman season is that's just a.
Yeah.
There are guys that maybe had that season is all time, and he did it as a freshman. There are that's comparable to some of the seasons Baker Mayfield had when Baker Mayfield was a junior. You know what I mean? It's just that's 14-0 national championship. You win the Heisman. What else could you possibly do in that season? Nothing.
So that's a good segue because that's my number 3. So,
okay,
and it's just because he just won all the time. I mean,
yeah,
you look at the stats and it's impressive, but for me to put him ahead of others,
they're actually we'll get to them later. But there are quarterbacks that had slightly better statistical seasons, but they didn't go 14-0 in the national championship and the Heisman all the same year. You know what I mean? That just that season is Hall of Fame career worthy just because of that 1 year. It doesn't matter what you do after that. That 1 year is just stands out so far from everybody else. What do you got for number 3?
So my number 3, I actually had RG3. And the reason is kind of.
Wait. I don't even remember his freshman season because he won the Heisman when he was
He was a junior or senior.
Yeah, so what did he do as a freshman?
His freshman year, he had.
Are you taking his track career into account here?
Well, his freshman year, he had 28 total touchdowns, 3,000 total yards.
Mm-hmm.
Again, not as good as Jameis, but again, he did this at Baylor.
Yeah.
And he did it with Art Briles, who just had a team full running rampant with rapists. So
that hurts the team. I was that's bad PR.
Well, their head's clearly not in the game when you got police records.
Criminals. Yeah, that makes sense.
I just think it's impressive, and he kind of put Baylor on the map for a few years, and then you get players like what was his name, Lance Seastrunk, the running back out of there, and then you had Josh Gordon, who was high out of his mind all the time.
Yeah.
There was another one there too. I can't remember. Corey Coleman.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, he kind of put Baylor on the map, and then those darn rape charges went and ruined everything for Baylor. But
yeah, damn, you should have looked up his track stats. He was national champion for the hurdles at some point in college. So if you factor that into it too, this man was a national champion for the 100-meter hurdles, for the 110 hurdles.
I think he's just a modern day Mike Vick.
Yeah.
But probably a better passer. Not as much arm strength. He's just more accurate. I mean, his NFL career was kind of a disaster, but yeah, RG3.
Yeah. All right, my number 3. This season that this player had is the 6th best ever for a wide receiver, regardless in the history of the FBS, regardless of the season. Michael Crabtree. Michael Crabtree's freshman season, he had 134 catches for 1,900 yards and 22 touchdowns. That's an amazing season if you are like a redshirt senior and you're playing for like Baker Mayfield. But it wasn't. It was a true freshman. Well, not really a true freshman because he had to sit out a year because of like, I don't think he got into school. Like, I don't think he caught some sort of like enrollment issues, which is kind of like the PR way of saying I don't think he was like had the grades to get into school. So he was basically a redshirt freshman. It was his true freshman year, but he was 19 going on 20.
So I don't count this one. First he gets Mike Leach and he gets Graham Harrell, and then he's like too stupid to get in school, so he's like 25. There's too many.
I mean, he was literally one season late, not 6, but good math there. But I mean, most of these people are redshirt freshmen. But like that's just like, dude, 134 catches, 2,000 yards, and 22 touchdowns. That is like one of the greatest receiving seasons of all time, and that was his first year in college football. That is like. That's so tough to find a better wide receiver ever in college football, and he was 19 when he did that. That is unarguably like the best wide receiver, the best freshman wide receiver of all time, unarguably, and then like in the top 5 all time. Seasons.
I was such a fan of his in college, but then the way like when he got drafted by the Niners and just refused to play for him.
Yeah, dude, I don't understand. Like Michael Crabtree, like. You would have thought after like his first 2 years in the NFL, like he would have faded out, but yet somehow he's on like season 10 and still kicking around and still doing okay. Like
yeah,
he's the greatest like spot start in fantasy football somehow. And like you really like after like his time with the Niners, you just swore he would have been out of the league in a heartbeat. Still around 10 years later, good for him.
Where'd he go after the Niners?
Baltimore and then the Raiders. Or I have that backward. I
he
know he
ended up
was
in
in the
Oakland.
Raiders for a
Yeah.
few years. That's where he was the best.
I thought he went somewhere before the Raiders after the Niners.
I know he played with Baltimore. I don't know if he's there now.
That was recently.
Okay, then I don't remember where we went to after San Francisco.
I can't stall any longer for Tom to look this up. Tom, who's your number? What are we on 3?
Number 2.
Number 2. So, I was going to put Crabtree. Okay, so I'll tie Crabtree since no one wants to hear. Yeah, but no one wants to hear about that again. No, I'll stick with Crabtree. Just move on. You beat it to death, but I mean, he broke a bunch of records and he came up big in the game against Oklahoma. So, which rivalry game for Texas Tech. So I'm going with Crabtree. On to the next.
All right, Ryan.
The
2.
Ron Dane, Wisconsin, 1996.
That was also my number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2,100 yards, 21 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Just another big bruiser from Wisconsin. You gotta love him.
Yeah, and like I also noticed like they weren't that good when he was there. I think they were like 8-4 that year or something like that. I don't know. They weren't that great, but like I don't understand that dude just didn't work out in the NFL. I mean, he was around for a while, but like he just never eclipsed 1,000 yards. I don't understand like how you can be so good on a team that had so little, and then get to the NFL and then just be like nothing. Like,
I think he's kind of like a poor man's Jerome Bettis.
Yeah.
Where he didn't have he was just this big bruiser in back, and he could run people over and everything, but once he gets to the higher level, you just can't really compete with. All of a sudden, everybody's big.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
It doesn't really work anymore because you're not running over Northwestern linebackers who Northwestern was pretty good in the mid '90s, but still.
Yeah, that was also my number 2.
All right, let's take it to number 1 then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody, drum roll. So, as an Oklahoma guy, had to go with Sam Bradford, number 1 overall, baby. And the common theme for me has been consistency, and that's what Sam Bradford brought to the table.
Yeah, with his sleeve jerseys.
Only throwing 9 interceptions on 341 attempts, with only 1 multi-pick game, completing at least 70% of his passes. The guy's consistent. He threw for over 3,000 yards, and probably would have been more if he hadn't gotten hurt. So that's what I'm going with. Going with a Sooner for number 1.
Nice pick, but I don't know.
But part of me is going with that. You have that thought where, well, he did get injured. He could have been better. I'll follow. I could be kind of banking on that a little bit, but I'm sticking with Sam Bradford, number 1 overall.
He was never a great NFL QB. He always looked like a mouth breather, and he had like sleeve jerseys.
So I'm not really disagreeing with any of those statements, but if we're looking at just the freshman season, then I'm still happy with that pick, despite the mediocre NFL career and mouth breathing. I'll take those.
He's like an advanced Eli Manning.
Oh, that's
like,
a great analogy.
If Eli Manning was elite in college, that's Sam Bradford, basically, in my eyes. All right, Ryan, who's your number 1?
Mr. Hugh Green, Pitt Panthers, 1977.
You can't say with a straight face. Please defend this.
Absolutely. As a freshman defensive end, playing in 1977 when Mr. Dan Marino was like fantastic with only 1,600 passing yards, this man had 12 sacks.
They kept sacks back then?
Yeah. 92 tackles and 5 forced fumbles. In his first game he ever played against Notre Dame, blocked a punt, had a sack, and 11 tackles.
Okay. Well, shame on both of you, because this is not a debate. The number 1 freshman season of all time, the greatest college football player of all time, is Johnny Manziel. 5,100 total yards and 57 touchdowns. That's like, you can't, like, that's what Mike Vick would be in today's offense, in today's college football.
Yeah, I think
57 total touchdowns, 5,100 total yards. That man had 20 rushing touchdowns.
Didn't Bryce Petty throw for like 6,000 yards one year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't rush for 2,000 yards and run for 21 touchdowns.
Wait, you're telling me Johnny Manziel ran for 2,000 yards?
Yes.
Can you fact check this?
that? I'm on it.
How many yards did he pass for?
Just over 3,000.
I don't believe that.
Freshman year.
His Heisman season.
Yeah.
And he had 26 touchdowns passing and 21 touchdowns rushing.
That was year 2012, right?
That's
It
like,
must have been 2012.
shame on you guys for leaving him off the list entirely. Shame on you guys. He's the number 1 college football player of all time, and it just so happens his best season, he happened to be a freshman.
Well, I did all true freshmen. He wasn't a true freshman.
I guess. I mean, sure. I mean,
How's Herschel Walker not on anybody's list?
I was going to get into honorable mentions. Herschel Walker is on my honorable mention. I mean,
I just didn't pick him because I thought somebody else was going to.
yeah, I mean, 1,600 yards, 15 touchdowns. He was a fucking stud. He was a stud every year. He kind of gets. You got the stats? You got.
So according to SportsReference.com for 2012, I've got 3,700 passing yards.
Yep.
And 1,400 rushing yards.
Okay, so I had it wrong. But he had 21 rushing touchdowns, right? The rushing touchdowns.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I was short on the yards, but the touchdowns is, dude. He ran for 21. Ron Dane ran for 21 touchdowns, and he's the greatest college running back of all time. Johnny Manziel ran for the same amount of touchdowns.
I don't think I'd call Ron Dane the greatest of all time.
I mean, he actually was. He had the record until another those goddamn Wisconsin running backs. But he had the record for rushing yards in a career as a running back.
Again, I think you got to scale it though. Like at Wisconsin, they don't pass the ball. Like you're getting the ball 45 times. So like if you put Adrian Peterson in that offense, his stats would have been like way bigger than they were.
Probably.
Again, now he played at Oklahoma in their early 2000s, so he still got a lot of carries. But what I'm saying is like Leonard Fournette, if you put him at like Washington State, his rushing yards are way down. Now his passing yard or receiving yards probably up.
Right.
So I think when you talk about like Ron Dane, I don't know, you put him up against like other college. Again, you put Herschel Walker in that offense. I think his numbers are even better.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, Herschel Walker also played, I think, 79 to 82. I think those are the years he was in college. Whatever it was, I mean, it was the early 80s. They were not fucking passing the ball. Like, it was just straight up, like, that dude's getting the ball, put 9 in the box and try and stop him, and he went for 1,600 yards as a freshman. Like, no doubt. He kind of gets the Adrian Peterson effect for me, where it's just like, he's like one of the greatest NFL running backs of all time. Kind of, like, shadows how goddamn good he was in college.
I also hated Johnny Manziel so much. I hated everything about him.
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't, like... I mean, it's an opinion, but, like, a fact is that, like, he has, like, one of the greatest statistical seasons of all time.
Yeah, but he's got that, like, my dad'll sue your dad, and it's just... it comes from, like, an oil family, and he's super rich, and... I hate the guy. I hate everything about him.
Yeah, some of my other honorable mentions, Marshall Faulk. He had 1,400 yards, 21 touchdowns, like... Again, he just falls in the category of, like, Hall of Fame NFL running backs that like you just
You don't think of his college career? It was
don't
like
think
San Diego State. So
yeah,
I don't,
yeah. I also had ready for this one. You're gonna probably hate this one. JT Barrett. JT Barrett had 45 total touchdowns in 2014.
I always loved JT Barrett. I always kind of felt bad because Braxton Miller got hurt and he couldn't play QB anymore, and that's why JT Barrett kind of stepped in.
Right.
But no, I never had an issue with it. I could see because again, he was the real reason they went to the national championship.
Yeah.
Cardell Jones was just lucky to.
Yeah.
He was just along for the ride.
Yeah, but it's just like, I mean, statistically, JT Barrett. I mean, JT Barrett was better than Sam Bradford, and he was better than RG3, and he was better than Michael Vick statistically. Now, I'm not going to argue that like he was a better quarterback than those guys.
He was on one of the best teams like ever.
Yeah, that's what I'm not going to argue. He's like better, but like I mean, if we're just talking like that season he had 2014 was
With Mike Thomas and Ezekiel Elliott, two of the best of their position in the NFL
it was
right
magical. Like you know what I mean? Like if you look at like Jameis Winston's magical season, you know what I mean? Like he had Dalvin Cook and Calvin Benjamin. You don't have those kind of seasons with. I mean, Johnny Football had Mike Evans. Like you just don't have these seasons without like someone else standing there, you know, like to catch the balls for you and run the ball for you. So like if that's your defense for like Michael Vick, you know, having like those like such low numbers, like you could probably they went undefeated, so I don't know. Like, it's just you can make a case for guys like JT Barrett when those numbers are so stupidly big compared to the numbers that you'd find in the 90s and early 2000s. You have any other honorable mentions?
Rondell Moore, the Purdue receiver from last year.
What did he have?
He had, I don't have it on me right now, but he had like 1,300 receiving yards, another 300 rushing yards, and I want to say he had about 16 total touchdowns and lit up Ohio State last year.
Yeah.
I'll give him that.
Yeah.
That was kind of what like made him. I just didn't think he was a freshman. I always thought he was like a sophomore or something, just being at Purdue.
I'll tell you one guy we definitely overlooked is Trevor Lawrence.
It was too easy.
Well, I think like so it's sort of like undefeated national championship. He was never in the Heisman contention, but like 3,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, like those are like. It's easy to look at those numbers compared to Johnny Manziel's numbers and go, oh, those numbers are nothing. But like
he split time with Kelly Bryant.
You know what I mean? That's like just like looking at the paper, like if you can say like you know, he was really solid, but like he wasn't like
he had RG3's numbers in like half a season.
Yeah, and won the national championship. So like it's kind of like
not only won, like dismantled the best Bama team we've seen.
Yeah. So I mean, we probably should have had him on our list somewhere. I don't know. The only defensive guy I had was Luke Kuechly. Luke Kuechly had 158 tackles as a freshman.
That guy was a son of a bitch at Boston College.
Yeah.
Did he overlap with Matt Ryan?
He was there in 2009, so no.
I think he just missed him. Yeah.
But damn, if they were together, that would have been a hell of an ACC team.
I know, because I still remember Matt Ryan when Notre Dame played him back then.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's all I got for freshmen. I mean, all these dudes we just listed, they all could have went to the NFL after one season. I don't know about Sam Bradford and Michael Vick. I don't know about them, but I mean, the Pancake Man could have gone to the NFL right away. Like, there's no doubt. I mean, they named a stat after him. Like, that dude could have been in the NFL when he was 20 years old. That's not a question. Yeah.